The introduction of TikTok revolutionized the art world, for better or worse, ushering in a paradigm shift that forever altered our creative expression. It propelled short-form content to the forefront, redefining the standard for media consumption. While platforms like Instagram initially offered a space for artists to share their visual creations, even they couldn't ignore TikTok's staggering influence, even prompting their own adaptation with features like Reels. Instagram's image-centric interface continues to take a backseat as the demand for dynamic and snappy video content increases. Unfortunately, this change does reflect the preferences of most people, artists included. Now, this shift poses challenges for emerging young artists, and it hinders the growth of the next generation of creatives. So today, let's dive in and explore what's happening. We're going to learn how together, as creatives, we can thrive in this new environment and, of course, avoid the TikTok trap. If you're new here, I'm Tyler Edlin. I've been an artist, creator, and instructor for over 12 years, and today I'm here to help you. And thanks to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Let's begin. So first up today, let's actually look at what's happening. New art students are relying far too much on crappy art tips. I see this all the time, and I feel you really just can't learn composition, color theory, design fundamentals, and full-on anatomy from a 15-second video. It's setting a lot of very unrealistic expectations on upcoming creatives. And the sheer amount of these, again, these, in my opinion, are kind of like the junk food of content to consume because you're getting so much of it, it's really overwhelming students. And when you're getting this much information bombarded with loads of bursts of quick tips, it's absolutely paralyzing, right? Paralysis by analysis is a form of this, and this is what's happening. But you actually have to really slow down, do a lot of thinking, and apply what you're learning. You need proper implementation of all these techniques. And no amount of semesters worth of work and practice condensed to a 15-second video it's not going to help you, most of us, in the long run. And because we're getting such a high volume of these, we're not actually learning as much as we think we're learning. We're thinking because we're taking in 30 or 40 videos per day in these very short form formats that we're learning more than we know. In most cases, the opposite. Look at all the reels that you guys have saved. Look at all these art tips. How many of you actually tried to apply? I've got a little folder. I'm guilty too. I've saved some. Have I actually tried them? Like maybe one, but I'm not doing it enough. And this is just the underlying fact that we as artists and creators that do want to improve, and we are self-educators, and we're trying to pump up and motivate each other. It's all great. I think the spirit of that is good, but we're consuming way too many tutorials than we could ever use. TikTok and Instagram, they don't want to focus on high quality content. Instead, they want snappier entertainment. They want to keep feeding you this junk food content that has a much higher entertainment value than it does for the quality of the actual content that it provides. Paintings alone won't get you the eyes on your work that a lot of us are looking for. Even time lapses for a lot of people are becoming less and less effective. And they do work for a few artists out there. I follow some, and they have to be overly edited, right? They have to be extremely well crafted and satisfying to look at. But granted, there's not a lot of value in terms of what we can actually learn from them. And the saddest part about all this, a lot of artists that are focusing on their craft, that are producing amazing pieces, also don't have a lot of time to do this kind of juggling that these platforms are demanding from us. And it's just so unfortunate because we just can't get the reach that we used to for just being skilled and sharing our love of the craft. We all have to be these entertainers as well, and it almost makes art even more like a popularity contest than it ever was. And in my opinion, that's never a great thing. The dominance of entertainment getting likes and follows means many students frequently have this skewed perspective on what high quality art actually is, which leads to the fact that everybody is confused. I see this when I'm asking my own students to get references of really good work so we can see where they want to go with it. And honestly, a lot of the references they pick are, in my opinion, quite bad and not great academic examples of what we should be striving for, this level of excellence. I'm not here to tell anyone how they need to creatively express themselves, but if a student knocks on my door looking to improve in a very specific area, there is certainly better influences and not as good influences that we should be consuming. Everything just looks so quick and easy, and especially with these expertly made edits. And I'm partially guilty of this too. When I make a time lapse online, or even if I'm making a longer tutorial, of course I edit out the bad parts, or I edit out a handful of mistakes. I do that for my own reasons, but again, it kind of creates this false sense of how quick and easy even I'm doing things, and I've been doing this for ages. Artists and audiences are just getting such unrealistic expectations for the quantity and the quality they should have. Students are confused about what a real portfolio looks like. I know, because I get dozens of these emails a week, and this is largely because of these poppy eye-grabbing paintings, and they don't get what they actually need to make a portfolio. So ultimately, since there's no transparency, or little of it, and that there is so much content, most people are just confused and think that followers means financial success and lots of work, right? A very high prosperous sort of creative life. So like I've been saying in this video, social media distracts and confuses a lot of us creatives. To get to that next level and really hit your goals, you need classes with a lot more substance taught by artists in the field. I want to introduce you guys to the sponsor of this video, Skillshare. Skillshare is the largest online learning community and offers a ton of inspiring classes taught by real artists and experts. Skillshare has learning pathways to get you from novice to pro in a lot of exciting creative disciplines. So for example, this learning pathway diving into Unreal Engine lately is really exciting to me. As a professional artist for over 12 years, I always try to keep learning new programs and tools to stay relevant. And like we talked about, short tips from TikTok and Instagram are not gonna be enough for me to master the complicated nature of a game engine like Unreal. But Skillshare makes it easy. After following this learning pathway, you'll be able to add Unreal Engine to your tool belt with awesome projects to show for it as well. But it goes far beyond that. There are classes like this on illustration, design, pretty much anything you want to learn. Every class is worth your time because at the end you'll have a project to show for it, and you can build your portfolio up as you go. So if you want to try it out, Skillshare has a special offer right now where the first 500 people to use my link below will get a 1-month free trial. In 30 days, you guys can make a ton of progress with no risk. Skillshare will remove the barriers between you and the goal. So click the link in the description, and thank you Skillshare for sponsoring your video. Let's all build some new portfolio skills now. So for my second topic today is how to thrive, right? How can we thrive as creators in this social environment, in this current career building environment? This is basically what I'm going to do today, is look at a 3-step actionable plan for you guys to try so we can stay focused on what really matters. So number 1 is obvious. This is limit your exposure to the online world. Separate your entertainment time from your learning. Many of us today are just guilty of spending too much time on our phones, too much time in front of screens, and not on what's really important. Building our skills, maintaining our real life social lives, and of course our family and our health and mental well-being. Actually try to get into some classes, right? Explore mentorships, various Patreons. I've got one. I teach online at schools. There's options for different entry points of pricing across the board. There's something for every budget. And usually from my experience, if you are paying for any kind of content out there, it's usually better than the 15-second junk food ones. So step 2 in this process, right? We should all double down and clarify our goals, right? Do you want to work in a studio, or do you want to be an independent creator or a social media artist and influencer? That's just step 1. We could double down on that even further, right? Do you want to be a studio illustrator, a studio concept artist, a prop designer, a studio character artist, or a contract character artist, or a contract environment artist, or a lighting artist, or a texture designer, or a UI interface planner, right? There's so many things we could double down on and therefore improve our efficiency on learning if we have a much clearer trajectory. Entertainment is great, but don't waste your learning time on entertaining art content if you aren't trying to be a TikTok or Instagram artist. I'm all for modeling what works, so if you want to be a social media influencer, then absolutely consume that content. Try to break it down, right? Try to figure out what's working, what's not working, and of course how you can put your own stamp on that creative process and what you have to say. If you're attempting to attract studios, then don't worry so much about the social media stuff. It's just not as important. Strong foundational skills, that would be much more important, right? Mastering perspective, dynamic drawing, environment design, color and light, just getting all these basics and then building a portfolio showcasing your strengths. Again, it's hard to do that when consuming so much media. Step number 3, just put in the time and do the hard work. This is the grind that I'm always talking about. This is where we need to avoid the distractions. And we can't do any of that until we know that focused goal and that trajectory that we want to head on as a creative path. It's just so easy getting distracted by others by consuming too much junk food, art content. It's really causing us to lose focus. If you missed my video a few ago about how to avoid distractions and to get the most out of your 2024 year, definitely check that video out. But doing the hard thing, the grind thing, it's never the easiest thing, right? It's not as easy as going online and just consuming some videos to feel good or to feel like we're learning a lot. No, the hard thing is to shut our phones off, take our Apple Watches off, closing even YouTube for a while, and then just bringing out a prompt or a design challenge to solve, or maybe it's an art lesson, and focus and go through it. And then repeat that for every day for 6 months or 5 days a week for 6 months, right? That is the grind. It's being sustainable with our actions and building discipline through good habits. So it's the TikTok trap, right? That's been ruining artists, and it is the addictive distractions, the comparisons, and the time-consuming nature of this short form media. If you fall into this trap, you may be spending excessive time on these apps consuming art content, which leads to the neglect of important study and artistic development. Additionally, the temptation to seek validation and like from views is overshadowing these intrinsic motivation and genuine artistic growth as well. It also misleads artists with oversimplified content. So let's just stop prioritizing these viral trends over focused learning. That's all I'm saying. It's just our own practice and how we can create a sustainable learning path for artistic excellence. The art community may have been hurt by this new form of media. A large part of this is because images are no longer the focus online, but I do feel as creators we can rekindle this passion for our image-based art. And of course this can help us find new ways to present this without selling our souls entirely and blowing all our budgets on becoming entertainment influencers. Guys, if you like this video, if you found it helpful, I have many more videos covering extensively into a lot of the topics I briefly brought up today. And here's a few recommendations for you now. But till then, if you guys have any questions or if you want to weigh in on this, I'd love to hear from you from the comments below. Until then, thank you again for Skillshare for sponsoring this video, and I'll catch you guys next time.